I recall very well receiving a call from the coordinator of our sexual assault nurse examiner program, letting me know that Rehtaeh Parsons had committed suicide as a result of having been sexually assaulted and having experienced a lot of harassment and a lot of threats. Rehtaeh lived here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and she went to school here. I spoke at the vigil for Rehtaeh Parsons, and it was very clear that the whole community were in crises. It really sparked a lot of memories for a lot of people who had been affected directly by sexualized violence or whose family members had been affected by sexualized violence, and a lot of young women. We have been for so long trying to get the government in particular to recognize that sexual violence was a very serious issue and that we do lose women who've been sexually assaulted to suicide, and that Rehtaeh Parsons was not an isolated incident. So that's a very frustrating thing when you're trying to get people that are leaders in your community to acknowledge that sexual violence is a real and serious social issue. And I think that when I got a call from the Canadian Women's Foundation saying, you know, we've heard one of your coworkers on the radio talking about what's happening in Halifax, and we want to help. How can we do that? The fact that they offered $25,000 in emergency funding, that was a tremendous thing to happen. But equally important was the fact that they called and said, how are you folks doing? So to have a conversation with someone who understands the issue of violence against women and the impact that it has on women that work in this field was just so heartening. We will be able to use the funds towards somebody that can respond in an immediate response to individuals that are calling in crises. If we look at population, and we look at the population of Nova Scotia, based on that, we should have at least 38 specialized sexual assault counselors. We have 3 in Nova Scotia. You know, we use the word vicarious trauma a lot when we're talking about people that are dealing with counseling, but in fact, anybody that works in a sexual assault center or working in the area of violence against women are going to experience some of that, and some of that is through systems, the lack of response from systems. It can, and when I say systems, I mean, you know, the criminal justice system in particular. When you hear women time and time again saying that if they've reported the crime, their experience with the criminal justice system of feeling that they're not believed, or feeling that they're being blamed for the crime, feeling that their case isn't worthy of taking to court. All of those kinds of things, you hear that time and time again, and you realize the systemic barriers we have to accessing the criminal justice system. I think that the one thing that Rehtaeh's death did was really alert the community that this is a very serious issue and that we all need to take responsibility for this. So it mobilized the community.